this podcast will fail. Mostly because nobody's going to listen to it. You might prove me wrong. Who knows? And here we are on episode 6 of This Podcast Will Fail. And so far I think it's living up to the stated intent. I'm able to look at the statistics for this thing on Anchor, which is where I'm uploading the podcasts. I haven't taken the time to look and see and try to figure out where the listening stats would be on the other 6 or 7 something platforms that apparently this is being fed to, Spotify, and a healthy handful of others that I've never heard of. iTunes is not on that list yet, but I think that I think you have to take some manual action to have your podcast put on iTunes, if I remember correctly from the podcast I tried to do last year, I think it was, last year. Might have been the year before, but anyways, I know there's all kinds of stuff you need to do to make it just right, to fit their criteria for being listed in terms of titles and descriptions and all this other stuff that I'm just, look, the whole stated purpose of this is to have a conversation with myself about what I've been doing for the last 15 plus years as a content creator, why I've made the decisions I've made, and why, really exploring why everything I have done has ended up being a failure. And a failure in terms of raw, definition, not getting popular, not taking off, not going viral, and not getting noticed or recognized, or bottom line, famous. I said very early on in this podcast that from a very young age, all I've ever wanted is to be famous. And I'm not sure I know why. I don't think that I've really uncovered that motivation just yet. I'm sure as I work through the rest of this, somewhere down the road, I'll come to understand why that's so important to me. But as of now, I just know it is, right? Just like I know I'm breathing, just like I know my heart's beating, just like I know I'm watching little blue squiggly word bubbles pop up on Microsoft Audacity while I talk. I know that I want fame and fortune. All right, the fortune part's easy. It's because I want a more comfortable life for my family. I don't want to have to go to work anymore. I've been going to work for 20 plus years, 25 years. I want more than just this, right? There's a quiet mantra that I've had in the back of my head, and I think I posted it once on my personal Facebook a couple of years ago and said, I'm sitting here looking on a vast horizon, looking at a sunrise that I can't quite see. I'm standing here on the beach on the edge of a vast ocean of opportunity and dreaming of a life less ordinary. And I don't know if that's a compilation or a combination of actual quotes from other people, but I know that's what I feel in my heart. But so far I haven't achieved it. I've had a couple of little glancing blows at success, but nothing that's really amounted to anything, really. So I continue on, and at the moment I go through this exploration of those 15 years and try to understand what happened and why. So yesterday I talked about how my 4-ish years doing internet radio was really a coping mechanism for the difficulty that I was experiencing in the real world professionally with my job and my career and the great financial crash of 2008. And I explored that topic in a little more detail, and that did bring me a little bit of a revelation on some of what that felt like and what I was thinking and why I did the things I did. So that was useful. But again, we're still up to the point of 2012 when I turned off the microphone, hung up the headphones, and just walked away. And that creative desert, as I've come to call it, lasted 4 years, from 2012 until 2016. I just had nothing. I had nothing to give. I had no motivation, no desire. I had no interest in anything but consuming media, right? Just watching TV shows and reading about all of the topics that I love, which include all the nerdy things you can think of: comic books, science fiction, fantasy, horror, whatever. Movies, music. I just kind of stopped putting anything out there and spent most of my time consuming and just absorbing. And I think it was probably around 2015, somewhere in that third year, that I started to finally feel a little bit of a creative itch. But I didn't know what to do with it, right? I didn't see where there was going to be something that would be viable, or something that I was passionate about. I didn't see it. There wasn't any spark of inspiration to tell me that this is the thing that I need to start creating and put it out there and pump it out and make it happen. There wasn't anything. But in 2015, I knew that I was wanting to make something. And so, as much as I talked about my job yesterday, I guess to put a little bit of a geographic perspective on things, I live around, and I am from a mid-sized city, pretty typical, American urban landscape. Not one of the big ones, right? Not New York, not Los Angeles, not Miami, none of that. Not Detroit, but a mid-sized second or third tier kind of city. And I grew up in that. And when my wife and I we got married at a very young age, I had just turned 19, and she was 18, and we needed to get out of our parents' houses. We needed to get out on our own and start a life. Okay, where are we going? Where are we going to live? Look at that stuttering. Isn't that interesting? I'm not going to edit that out either. And I thought to myself, I want to be away from the city. Right? I'm not a country boy by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know anything about farming. I'm not interested in straw hats and guns and God and any of that stuff. But I did think to myself, we gotta go. We gotta get somewhere far away. How far can we go? We settled on a rural town of about 8,000 people, about 35 to 40 minutes away from that city proper. Now, the thing about living that far away from the city proper is there are no jobs out here. I have to continue to still work in that metropolitan city area. So every job I've ever had has still been within the borders of that city, so to speak, and the surrounding suburbs. So I had to very quickly get used to the idea of a 35 to 45 or longer minute commute, especially on heavy traffic days, rush hour traffic in the morning and the afternoon and all that. It makes for itself a significant amount of time spent in the car driving. And little by little, as I started to realize that I had things I wanted to say and concepts that I wanted to share, realizing that commute is my best opportunity to do it. And then you start to toss around some of the ideas of, okay, well, what can I do with my creative time when my eyes need to be on the road and my hands on the wheel? And I started to realize I could do videos. I didn't necessarily know what those videos were supposed to be about. I still don't think that I had a topic, but I knew I wanted to start laying down content, and I knew that filming myself in the car on my drive was probably the most viable option. So I did. I started with pretty much nothing. I started with what used to be called a phablet, a gigantic Samsung Galaxy Mega, the original version that was like a 7.2 inch screen. And I found a way to mount that, so to speak. I really just propped it up on the speedometer dial inside the dashboard and filmed myself talking. Now, some of you possibly who know me might now figure out who I am. But my sense is that since nobody's going to listen to this anyway, and anybody that does listen to it is sure as hell not going to be almost 11 minutes in at this point. No one's going to stick around. So I think my secret identity is still safe. But I realized that I could record while I'm driving, and I can just post those things to YouTube, and I can just see what happens. Just get that satisfaction out of making something and sharing it with the world again. And of course, you know, I there's no denying it. There was this sense that, oh, you can blow up on YouTube. No matter that YouTube was already almost 10 years old, and the megastars that were going to be the megastars for the most part had already established themselves. Never mind the fact that I was pushing age 40 at this point. And I think in 2016, there was still a sense that YouTube was a teenager's game. YouTube was something for the 20-somethings. The ones that wanted to do stupid challenges, and the ones that wanted to be outrageous for the sake of being outrageous. The ones that wanted to go, hey, look at me, this is crazy. Hey, guys. Oh, my God. I hate with a white-hot passion. Hey, guys. What's up, guys? I hate it. I detest it. And I think part of my driving force in creative endeavors is to try to do something different. So I thought, okay, it's different. It's some 40-year-old guy talking about life, talking about society, talking about general interest topics, talking not so much about the world, because I very early on I put a restriction on myself that said I will not discuss current events. I will not discuss the news that's popular happening. I won't talk current events. No, none of that. I won't talk about politics, and I won't talk about religion. And the reason that I set those parameters for myself was, one, I didn't want any of the videos I made to have a shelf life. I realized that there were a lot of popular-ish YouTubers that were based on current events. And look, these topics are only relevant for about a week, and then nobody's going to watch them anymore. Nobody's going to care. No one's going to go back and look at something that happened in 2016 a month later. That's the nature of a news cycle. That's the nature of the attention span of the average American consumer. I didn't want politics or religion because of the division. I wanted to try and cast the biggest net that I could possibly cast and get as many people as possible watching and talking and engaging, and just try to put the biggest funnel out there to capture as many viewers as possible. It was all about not setting up any self-inflicted roadblocks. So with that in mind, I started with just these talking videos while I was driving, and I set myself to trying to learn. I put it out there that I was spending time on Reddit, and I was spending time on other platforms to try and learn everything I could learn from people that were already doing it, and gaining as much knowledge and technical skill as I could. Wasn't too long before I upgraded to a better phone and was trying to record on that. It wasn't much longer after that I was investing $700 in a camera that I still have. It's sitting right next to me here. Is a wonderful Sony RX7 Mark II, I think. And really started to expand my technical skill. And it wasn't much longer after that I realized, okay, I need to get out very quickly. I need to get out of the car. I need to go walk around, right? I need to show more than just the cab of my vehicle and my stupid talking face. I needed to have interesting visuals and locations. So I started having these little walkabouts and exploring locations. And content-wise, especially in that first year, it was just this great big mishmash hodgepodge of topics. There was no niche in mind. There was no direction necessarily, other than general interest topics. We're just talking about stuff, and it was kind of working a little bit. I was celebrating these ridiculous little milestones of 30 subscribers and 50 subscribers, and oh my God, we reached 100, and I can get my custom channel name now. It was kind of interesting, and all of this in the midst of the world around me, and all of the craziness that was happening in the real world in 2016. I started a YouTube channel, and I reached certain points of success with the YouTube channel. So let's see if I've got time to talk about this. I got about 3 more minutes. I'd like to keep these at about 20 minutes. I feel like that's a comfortable space. So I think, I've set the stage. I've talked about what YouTube was and how I started and why I started. I think when we pick it up again, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I really, really disliked about doing YouTube. Not the least of which, as I said a moment ago, was some of the ridiculousness, the hey guys and what's up y'all, and I want to talk first. I'm going to get into more of the success that I did have and the things that did work, and why I think they worked, and some of the really awesome rewards that I gained from that, the friendships that I made that I still have almost 5 years later at this point. But then I'm going to talk about, I think, the most frustrating parts of being a quote-unquote YouTuber, which, by the way, is a which is a word I hate as well. There was a couple of points of almost like crisis, and I'll talk through those and try to help myself understand what went wrong and why, and get to the root of it. I still, to this day, don't really necessarily understand the successes that I have had with YouTube. I don't understand them. I don't know what I did, and that's frustrating and annoying. But I guess I need to walk through those conversations. And we'll get to that. We will pick that up in the future conversations that, again, pretty certain nobody is listening to, and I guess that's okay. As we creep on 20 minutes, I'm pretty sure that anybody that started listening to this is probably not still listening to this, because the abandon rate on most content that is created is around 30% view time. You're lucky if you've got a 5-minute video that you can get 2.5 minutes out of people. 20-minute podcast, I'm pretty sure you get 4 to 5 minutes before someone goes, I'm bored, and they move on. And that's okay. But if you do indeed happen to be somebody that picked this thing up and for some reason thinks I have an interesting voice and an interesting story to tell, thank you. I very much value and appreciate your time. I know you don't know who I am, and as far as I can tell, there's no comment ability anywhere, so I don't know who you are. I haven't given you any way to get in touch with me, so sorry. We're going to talk about social media in the future, and I don't have any of it for this podcast, which will fail. But I will continue posting the podcasts, which will fail. But that's it for here. That's enough for now. I very much appreciate your time, and I will speak to you again. Have a good day.